I love to do it. Compare the conferences. I do it every offseason here on Mark Rogers TV. I put my mad scientist cap on and I break down the results of the Power 5 conferences against each other. So throw out all the FCS games, the group of 5 games. Yes, they are valuable. Yes, they should add value to a conference's standing if they defeated the likes of a Boise State or a Houston or a Navy or another quality team from the group of 5 or even an FCS team, and definitely take away from a conference rating if you're talking about a bad loss to an FCS team or a marginal group of 5 squad. But the reason why this experiment works is because the results are within a vacuum. This is determining which Power 5 conference league played better, played the best against the other 4 conferences in the previous season, 2016. So this is what we do. We seed all the conferences. So in the ACC, the Big Ten, and the SEC, that's 1 through 14. In the Big 12, it's 1 through 10. In the Pac-12, it is 1 through 12. I seed them based on the standings, not based on my own evaluation, but based on the standings. Therefore, Louisville's the 2 seed in the ACC at 7-1. Florida State is the 4 seed at 5-3. Even though I personally think that Florida State ended up the season a better team than Louisville, we've got to go objectively with the standings. So I seed the conferences. Then we have to adjust the seeds. Why do we have to do that? Well, there's 14 teams in 3 leagues. There's only 10 in the Big 12 and 12 in the Pac-12. Therefore, a 5 seed, for example, in the Big 12 is not the same as a 5 seed in the Big 10. Actually, a 5 seed in the Big 12 is comparable to a 7 seed in the SEC, the ACC, and the Big 10. Think about it. If you're a 5 seed in the Big 12, out of 10 teams, you're halfway down the league. You are right in the middle of the league. You are better than 4, worse than 4. You're a 5 out of 10 seed, basically. All right. 7 seed out of 14 in the other 3 leagues is comparable to a 5 seed. You're halfway through the seedings. Better than half, worse than half in the league. Therefore, I had to adjust the seedings. Now, of course, they didn't work out perfectly like that across the board, so there's a lot of decimal points involved in the rankings. So, for example, Oklahoma being a 1 seed in the Big 12 against 10 total teams is actually a 1.4 seed in this scale. The Pac-12 champions a 1.14. Washington a 1.14 seeding because they finished as a 1 seed against 12 total teams. That's how it works out. Then we take all the wins and losses. So, for example, the ACC had the best non-conference record against the 4 other leagues at 23-12. Did they play the best? Well, on the surface, it would appear at 23-12 that the ACC was the best league. But we have to put those games into context based on the seedings. So, if those 23 wins were a bunch of Clemson and Florida State wins over the likes of Purdue, Kansas, and Oregon State, of course, that wouldn't count for much. That's not exactly what happened, of course, in reality, but we've got to put the games into context. So we take each game and we start with a 20-point scale. So every game starts out as a 20-point win for the team and the conference that won the game, and a negative 20 points for the conference that lost the game. So if it's a like-seeded game, take the national championship game. Clemson, the 1 seed out of the ACC, defeated Alabama, the SEC 1 seed, and so that's a like-seeded game perfectly. So it's a 20-point win for Clemson and the ACC, a negative 20 points for the SEC and Alabama. All right, the rest of the games, though. Let's take another example. Pitt out of the ACC defeated Penn State, the Big Ten champion. So Pitt's the 7 seed in the ACC. Penn State is the 1 seed out of the Big Ten. So give the ACC 20 points plus the 6 seed difference. The 7 beat the 1. 26 points for the ACC. Negative 26 points for the Big Ten with the 7 defeating the 1, the Big Ten champion. All right, it can work in all sorts of different ways, and the decimal points, unfortunately, make it a more complicated formula than that. But trust me, that's how it works. So you take all of that mathematics and you determine the quality of each win and loss. You also take win percentage not necessarily into account. It's taken into account based on the seedings. That's where it works into the formula. But we also are going to show you how the conferences played against like-seeded winning percentages. So we will start with the league next. I just wanted to explain the formula to you before we got started, and definitely send in your questions and your comments to Mark Rogers TV, and we will explain as we go through the ACC, the Big Ten, the SEC, the Big 12, and the Pac-12, and we rank the conferences for 2016. Right here on Mark Rogers TV.